Round one. Michael!
While the arcade release of Street Fighter II was undeniably integral to the fighting game boom of the early 90s, the original Street Fighter is undeniably integral to the series itself, because it was the first one. So, I guess it's just by default. But for Street Fighter fans, it's certainly interesting to take note of this one to really appreciate how far the series has come since its debut in 1987, 4 years before its groundbreaking sequel. So Capcom's first fighting game ever is set up in a similar fashion to what we all know and love as Street Fighter, with last man standing one-on-one combat where you have to win 2 out of 3 rounds. The first player can play as Ryu, or the second player can play as Ken. Although the differences here are purely aesthetic, they play exactly the same, just in different colored outfits. In the one-player mode, you'll travel from country to country, battling other world warriors, some of which you might actually recognize from future games, like Gen, Birdie, Adon, and eventually you'll face off with Sagat. Yes, that's right, the giant scar on his chest happened here in the first Street Fighter tournament, with a climactic dragon punch of epic proportions. But good luck getting to him. The gameplay in the original Street Fighter is far from the refined combat of its sequels. Your controls are similar, with the joystick or D-pad used for movement, and then there's 6 buttons for 3 different strengths of punches and kicks, and even the 3 classic special moves are still intact. But the control is not fluid, movement is really choppy, and pulling off your special moves is more about your button mashing skills and determination. Some fighters that you play against do require a bit of strategy, but in general, you'll do your best just spamming random attacks until you randomly pull off a Hadouken that does way more damage than it probably should. There's an interesting little side note about the controls, however. One of the original arcade versions had 2 pressure-sensitive attack buttons instead of 6 normal attack buttons, so it would actually determine the strength of your attack depending on how hard you smash the button. That's kinda cool for 1987. Oh, and you know what else is cool? The voices in this game. Cool as in, it sounds like you threw a speak and spell into a bathtub.
Listeners, don't forget Derriman is all over the world.
Also a bit weird. The special moves are all translated to English. Psycho Fire! But honestly, playing this game is more like an educational or straight-up comical experience than anything else. If you want to check it out, it has been ported to a variety of home computer systems, or even to the Turbo CD under the name Fighting Street. How confusing is that? Well, anyways, Fighting Street is also available on the Virtual Console if you don't have your TG16 and CD drive handy. Oh, and then this arcade version is playable on a few different Capcom Classics compilations. In this case, Capcom Classics Collection Volume 2 on the PS2.
You are no man for me. You've got a lot to learn before you beat me. Try again, kid.
So basically, this obscure and primitive fighting game classic that unleashed a massive franchise can still be enjoyed today for new and old Street Fighter fans alike. Oh, and don't forget...
You've got a lot to learn before you beat me. Try again, kid. Game over.